Hey, it's Ken. I'm getting ready to start a series here about using MET-T in your self-defense plans. And we're going to be talking about a long surveillance patrol, not a long-range reconnaissance patrol, because we're not talking about anything here with any type of long range. What I'm talking about here is something that you want to identify an area that you feel you need to watch for several days. And we're going to talk about some techniques, and we're going to talk about gear, rifles, all that kind of good stuff. But we're going to go into some other things here first, and what I consider administrative things, some techniques that you can use to help you when you want to do that. Like this right here, right? This is a bump hat insert that's made by Green Devil. They cost about $10 on Amazon at the time of this video. So as you can see, you take your boonie hat or your baseball hat, whatever it is you're wearing, and this fits inside the sweatband. So you fold the sweatband down, you put the insert in, then put the sweatband back up. And this is not any type of major protection. It's just a bump hat. In case you fall down and hit your head against something, this will protect you, right? This one costs $10. Not a big deal. Another thing I'd like to talk to you about is some books. One of the books that I like is called the Professional Citizen Project. I have 3 of them here. This one is book number 1, or Citizen Manual number 1, what they call it, from the Professional Citizen Project. This is a great book, right? Another one I have is the Citizen's Ranger Handbook. I'll link to this stuff in the description. And then I have book number 8, The Modern Minuteman. I have others, but these are the ones I have on me right now. So what is great about these books is that they break down the things that you need to know into terms that you can understand. Now, a lot of people say that the Ranger Handbook is a good reference guide. I do not agree. I do not agree. If you've never been to the infantry training school, never have any experience with patrolling and so on and so forth, then it's not a good reference. You need something like this to help you out so that you have a basic understanding of what's going on. They break it down, as we used to say, they break it down Barney style, so anybody can understand it. And they also take out the information that's not relatable, like air support, artillery support, etc. Right? You're not going to have that stuff more than likely, so there's no point in wasting your time learning the information. Another good book that I like is Light Infantry Tactics. I'm going to link to this also. This is an excellent book. Also, it's a great reference book for you. Finally, I'd like to introduce you to this book right here. Now, probably most everybody in the prepper community knows this, the Guerrilla's Guide to the BAOFENG Radio. This is an outstanding book right here. If you know nothing about communications, then that's a book that you need, okay? Talks about what's the difference between an omnidirectional antenna and a field expedient directional antenna. What are the benefits? What are the distractors, or what are the pros and cons of each? So that's also a great reference guide for you. Speaking of comms, everybody talks about comms, what you need, what you don't need, etc. Well, normally what you see is a ham radio, something like this. This is a BAOFENG. This is the antenna I have on it, right? And what I've done This is a waterproof handset that I purchased. This isn't waterproof. The handset they send you isn't waterproof. However, you can buy this and it will be waterproof. So you don't have to worry about it, okay? And you'll see here, I have a cable with a 3.5mm jack connected to these Walker Razors, right? That's one way you can do it. You can also buy the Walker Razor that has the mic boom on it, but I don't like them, so I'm okay to speaking into this, right? And I'd like to talk to you about one other thing that's specific to this. You have, when you're out on these type of missions, you're going to have one radio that talks to base, or your CP, whatever, home, whatever you want to call it. Then you need another radio that talks to your team. And we'll talk about teams here later after we get done with the radios. So my question is, do you really need 2 of these ham radios blasting away at full power to be able to talk to your team? And the answer is no. How about this? This is a CB Handitalkie, right? I purchased a waterproof mic for it, or handset, whatever you want to call it. And attached to that handset, I have earbuds, just plain old earbuds, right? And I like this setup because I don't like wearing them daggone earmuffs or noise, whatever you want to call them. After about 30 minutes, I'm ready to throw them damn things in the wood and get rid of them. But a plain old set of earbuds like this is lighter, easier to use, and it doesn't require batteries. So, why would I use a CB radio? Well, CB radio, if you don't know, or an FRS radio, family radio service, the kind that you can buy a whole package of them at Walmart. They don't cost very much. But you can use something like that to talk within your team. And the reason is you don't want to be projecting a lot of power. So when you're using a 8-watt ham radio or a 5-watt ham radio, it puts out a lot of power. Anybody can be heard. You can be heard for a long distance. However, with a CB radio or FSR or GMRS, the signal is not as strong, and not everyone will be hearing you talking to your team. Another reason I like the CB radio is I've heard a lot of the Elmers, the ham geeks, a lot of them are talking about, oh, CB band is dead. Nobody talks on the CB band anymore. I'm going to say that again. Nobody talks on the CB bands anymore. So that might be a great thing for you and your team. If nobody's on the CB bands, then you can talk on the CB bands without a lot of concern of being, your traffic being intercepted. Also, in the book, The Guerrilla's Guide to the BAOFENG Radio, NC Scout goes over brevity codes and all kinds of good stuff that you need to say. So, once again, you don't have to have 2 ham radios. I would suggest you either have for your team radio, you either have CBs or you have GMRS on low power, and that really restricts the amount of distance your signal travels. Your signal can be blocked by almost anything, which is good if you're on a team radio. Okay, so that's one thing you want to keep in mind. All right, I'm going to interrupt here, and I know it's stilted, but I do need to interrupt. After looking at this video, I left a certain part out, and I left it out on purpose just for brevity, but we need to have this discussion about one-time pads and brevity codes. When you use these radios, you're going to be what is called in the clear, meaning that anyone who is on your channel can hear and understand what you're saying. Also, the longer you're on the radio, the easier it is for you to be DF'd, or direction finding. So, ham operators practice direction finding. So you may think there's no one in your area who knows how to DF you, but this is something hams practice on a regular basis. Let's talk about brevity codes real quick. Brevity codes is a word or a phrase that you and your team uses that only you understand. And you can use words such as Apache, Ford, Dickel, Budweiser. It doesn't matter what you want to use. And I'll give you an example. In one unit I was in, we had 2 code phrases for pack up your stuff because we're getting ready to leave. The first one was CSMO, which meant collect shit and move out. It also meant that you had about 30 minutes to get ready. However, if you heard Smedley Butler, that meant we were doing an emergency displacement, and the only thing you took with you was gear that you needed to fight with and to survive with. Everything else, called non-essential gear, was left behind. And that's how you use brevity codes. I'm also going to introduce to you the triad. Right, here it is. Now, I'm going to take a picture of this document, insert it into the video, and we're going to talk about the triad. Now, the triad, I don't know who came up with the idea, but my understanding it is based on the Marine Corps fire team that was in Vietnam and a lot of encounters with the Viet Cong and what the Viet Cong were doing in country because they were mostly hidden and they only came out at specific times to fight. But during the day and most of the nights, they were just hiding, right? They were hiding and trying to be unnoticed. And that's what you'll want to do on this type of mission. This reconnaissance patrol where you're going to go look at something and you're going to be there for several days, 4, 5, 6 days, whatever it may be. And regardless of who came up with the idea, it's been around for quite a while. And I think it's the absolute minimum that you can get away with in the field. You have 3 people. Each one is designated as a different team member, and each one has their own specific gear they're going to carry, and they have specific duties that they have to take care of. So we'll talk about that more here in a minute. But the main thing here that I'm trying to get you to do is think about what it is you're doing, okay? You're not, for those of you who don't have military training, you can't learn to be a ranger by watching videos on YouTube. And you can't learn to be a special forces operator or whatever you want to, SOCOM, whatever it is you want to call it. You can't learn to be one of those guys by watching YouTube. It's just the way it is. You're going to have to purchase some reference material. You're going to have to go through it, learn the basics, right? Learn the basics. The reasons that most units like Rangers and Special Forces and Marines and all those guys, the reason that those guys are so good is because they understand the basics and they apply the basics. So you need to get the reference material and then read it, learn it, understand it, and if there's something in there that you see that you don't understand, then you can search YouTube and hopefully find it on there, somebody talking about it. So now we're going to go on to the triad and explain the different pieces that go together, how they fit, and why this works. So this is the triad. It's made up of 3 men, or 3 persons. The first is the leader. He carries all the missing essential gear, as in binos, spotting scope, night vision goggles, thermal scope, etc. That's the gear he's going to carry. Then you have a supply guy. He carries axe, saw, shovel, stuff like that you'll need in the camp. And finally, there's the comms guy. The comms guy is going to carry extra radios, batteries, the antenna, all that kind of stuff that has to deal with comm. And the reason you break it up like this is so that if for some reason you get separated or you have to break and run, you don't lose all your gear. Everything is distributed, and hopefully everything makes it to you where you're going to go all in one piece. Now, once you make it to the patrol base, then the first person number 1, will go and set up the LPOP and start watching. The next person is going to set up the camp, the base camp, or the patrol base. He's going to cook, fill water jugs. He's going to maintain the radio to higher headquarters or a home or your command post, whatever you want to call it. He's going to cook. He's also going to be the security for the base camp. And the third guy, or the third person, is going to rest or sleep. And these take, and you change responsibilities every 6 hours. So you know that 6 hours you're going to be on watch at the LPOP. The next 6 hours you're going to be in the camp taking care of camp duties and security. And you know, after that 6 hour shift, you get to lay down and sleep. Another benefit of the triad, this system, is called massing. So let's say that there are 3 groups who are helping each other out within a 10-mile radius. Because of manpower issues, each group is only able to send 1 triad. So each group is told to have their triad at a rally point by sundown on a certain day. So each group will send out their triad, a small team, easily hidden. Once all the triads have arrived at the rally point, forming a larger unit, then they can prepare and move toward the objective. Now keep in mind, this is an example. It is a way, not necessarily the way. However, I do believe that this is the easiest way to organize. All right, as I said, this is the beginning video. There's going to be more videos to come. All the reference material I talked about, the bump hat insert, will be linked in the description. Also, I'm going to link another YouTube channel, Alpha Charlie Concepts, and he is doing a series of videos on communications for the prepared citizen. All right, so if you're not a big comm guy like me, I spent 21 years in the Marine Corps, and basically, other than the very basics of how to use a radio and how to put up an antenna, my number 1 option was to look at the radio operator and say, hey, it's not working. Let's get it fixed, okay? That was my thing. So I really didn't learn a lot. So I'm going to be watching Alpha Charlie Concepts also. That's what you need to do. Get in there and learn some good stuff. And I hope you enjoy these videos. And we will talk to you next time. Have a blessed day.